Hi everybody, Mark Stafford here with you in the studios in Avalon, and the reason I'm here and Grant Nisbet's here too is we have got a massive week, 2 weeks, month, 2 months of sport coming up, Nisbo. The Cricket World Cup's gone, but we've still got a lot to look forward to.
Well, talking cricket, we've got the IPL starting very shortly, of course, and we'll talk about that in a bit more depth, but well, the NBL, you know, we've been following the progress of the Breakers right through the season. They've been by far the best team in the regular season, 22-6 record. They weren't recognised at the awards night the other night, so I think they've got a bit to prove when they start the series against the Perth Wildcats.
Yep, Thursday night's the first one, and it is one place for, which was Perth. They were 16-12, so massive difference. They lost twice as many games as the Breakers, sorry. Townsville and Cairns, they'll be second and third playing off, and it's a best of three series, Nisbo. And look at that, the Breakers, whoever got on them when they opened up at 6, they're now roaring hot favourites. It looks quite good money 6 now, but even as favourites, as you mentioned, they are so much better than the others in the regular season.
Well, they have been, yeah, and that $1.70 is representative of the way they played, no question about that. And you know, home court advantage is so important now. They start in Auckland, of course, then they go to Perth for game 2, and if they need a game 3, they go back to Auckland. And of course, if they make it through to the grand final again, they have that home court advantage.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so that's the NBL. Keep an eye on Kirk Penny. I think he's quite bitter he didn't get MVP. 20 points per game. He carried the team. He's got the best scoring average in the league, and he missed the first month as well, remember, so that's a good run for him. All right, we're going to have a look at the Rugby League now as I turn my page. Got 4 games to look at quickly. Nisbo, Tigers against the Rabbits, and news this week that the Tigers have been hit with injury. Lottie Takiri and Chris Lawrence out, so Benji Marshall's going to be a bit of the Lone Ranger in the back line for them. Well, yeah, and they're coming off quite a severe loss last week to the Sydney Roosters, 24-6. That's quite a hiding in league, isn't it? And so they've got to get back on the horse, I suppose. Up against a Rabbits team that started rather poorly in the season, but they're starting to find their feet. They've probably got the biggest pack in the competition. So if you're asking me, I'd probably be looking at Souths to win that. Yep, South slightly favoured in that one. The Warriors against the Roosters. Now, what a dilemma for Ivan Cleary. He dropped all his big stars, or his seasoned professionals who admittedly had been off form. They came out and won, all the rookies. And all credit to him, he stuck with them in their massive clash with the Roosters. Yeah, and he said that they didn't play very well, but he was obliged to hang on to them. The only bloke that he's dropped is Russell Packer. He's no respecter of names, really. He's just purely and simply going on form. And they're going to need all the form they can find this week, because the Roosters, well, they were grand finalists last year. They're only 2-2 at the start of the season, but that win over the Tigers last week, I think, shows that they are going to be contenders this year. So big game again for the Warriors. And in Todd Carney, they've got an outstanding guy to lead them around the park too, Nisbo. Next game, Dragons against the Bulldogs. Now this one's at the SCG. 5 o'clock on Sunday, and it's one I'm really looking forward to. 4 teams in the competition have got a 3-1 record, and these are 2 of them. Yeah, well, the Dragons are looking like they could repeat last year. They still, to me, look like the best team going around. The Bulldogs were 3-0, of course, until they ran into Melbourne on Monday night, and they got a decent shellacking. So they'll be wanting to bounce back as well. These are 2 of the heavyweights of the game. This will be a good one. Another one that we always look forward to is Monday night football, because it's where the TAB generally makes its money, because the underdog always seems to win. They didn't this Monday, first time of the season. We've got the Broncos against the Knights, and the Knights, well, you'd have to say, being the underdog, they're the favourite. Does that make sense? Yeah, well, it's going to be a tough one, actually, because the Knights are a lot better this year than what they have been for the last couple of years. And the Broncos have snuck up on everybody a wee bit, I think. They're 3-1. So they're having a good season, so you're looking forward to that. The thing about the Broncos is they've always been the expressive, open, attacking type team. They're really building their games on defence now. Yeah, and I think the better teams tend to do that, don't they? I mean, you look at the better teams going around, the Dragons, the Storm. They've all got pretty good defence, and I think the teams like the Broncos have worked that out. Let's have a look at the overall winner once more. We can see there that the St George Dragons are favourites. The Bulldogs have roared into second equal favouritism with the Melbourne Storm, and the Roosters, as you mentioned, coming off a very good win. Just on that Broncos Knights game too, Nisbo, just an underlying plot that might be playing out is both the Broncos and the Knights both want Wayne Bennett next year. Yeah. Because he's leaving the Dragons. Are they playing for his services? Well, good question. Very good question. Who knows where Bennett... I guess he'll be drawn back towards Queensland, but you never know.
All right, Masters Golf. This is massive. This is probably my annual favourite sporting event of all. The Masters Golf is fantastic. And whenever we talk about golf and we talk about the Masters, I guess we talk about Tiger Woods. It's hard to park what he's done in the past. I think deep down everyone secretly hopes he gets back to form because he's a fantastic player when he's in form.
Yeah, I'm a little bit doubtful, certainly in the immediate future. I mean, his form hasn't been good enough for me to be backing him in the Masters, which is a very demanding course. Okay, he's won there 4 times, so he's got history at the Masters. But if he was showing just a little bit of form, I would possibly be looking at what's not quite double-figure odds. I mean, the form guy is Mickelson, twice winner of the Masters, and of course winning in the Houston Open just in the last week or so. So he, I think, deserves to be the favourite. A lot of those guys there don't have history at Augusta.
And you need it, don't you? I think you do.
Yeah, I guess sooner or later you have to establish some form at Augusta. And, you know, it's easy to say, well, Westwood hasn't got much form at Augusta, but he's too good a player not to in the end. As we whistle down the list here. And
players like Steve Stricker and Sergio Garcia, they've played it a lot. So's Ernie Els, and there's $40 and $50 for those sorts of guys. And the beauty of these is you can put $5 or $10 on 6 or 7 guys, and if you can nail it out of 6 or 7, it's just going to be gravy. Now, the other great one that we've got is the Specials book, and Kieran McAnulty, the golf book, he's really extended himself, and have a look at those.
Yeah, this is enjoyable, isn't it? Hole in one. I'm not sure what the history at Augusta is. I know they have that par 3 competition on the day before the Masters starts, and I guess there'll be hole in ones there. But I like the left-handed winner. Well, of course, who have you got in your camp? You've got Bubba Watson, you've got Mickelson, the Aussie, Mike Weir, the Canadian, who's won it, of course. Yep, right-handed winner. Well, yeah, they'll be outnumbered, the left-handers, by about 50 to 1, I guess. But nevertheless, an American to win. Only $1.80. Well, you know, I mean, Martin, the top 3 golfers in the world are not Americans. I think that's right, isn't it?
Yep, I think you're about right. Yeah.
So $1.80 may not be great value, to be fair.
Fantastic tournament, that one, and well worth watching, and it's covered very well on television. As I say, must watch for me. Before we head out of here, the IPL cricket starts up this weekend. Nisbo, I know you've put in the hours. You know who's playing where and how it all works. Tell me.
Well, there are 2 new teams this year. Now, don't ask me who they are, but there are now 10 teams in the competition. And I was just having a look through on the website yesterday. They play 70 games before they get to the playoffs. You get down to the top. You get down to the top 4. So 6 teams go. We're strong. New Zealand's strongly represented. I think we've got players in most teams. I think I worked out there are 8 Kiwis playing. I guess the one that we'll be interested in the most is the Chennai team, because Stephen Fleming's the coach and Scott Styris and now Tim Southey are involved. And there we are. They're $6.50. Mumbai Indians, $6, then Bangalore. I think we've got somebody playing for Mumbai, haven't we?
We have got James Franklin playing for Mumbai, and of course they're captained by Sachin Tendulkar. And it's interesting, Mumbai Indians, I was thinking James Franklin, he's not from Mumbai and he's not an Indian, so he's a ringin.
Yeah, exactly.
How cool to be picked by Sachin Tendulkar in the plum pud.
Yeah. Well, now, is it Brendan McCullum? I think his team is captained by Shane Warne.
He's Shane Warne, I've written him down here. No, Rajasthan Royals has got Shane Warne and Ross Taylor.
Ross Taylor, that's it.
Brendan McCullum is playing for one of the new teams, the Koshi Tuskers.
Okie doke. Well, there we are. I mean, look at you can just look at the odds and say, well, take a pick. There's no obvious pronounced favourite, is there?
No, flat markets, that's what we like, and that's what the punters like. You'll get some pretty good value. Whoever you take in the IPL, and it's going to be a fantastic watch, the whole tournament. All right, that's just a little bit of a taste of what's coming up this weekend. Nisbo and I will join you from time to time in the next few weeks when we've got massive weekends like we've got coming up. And don't forget, pools is $20,000 guaranteed this week, so have a crack at that.